Hi, my name is Donna Peace. I'm the curator at the New Freedom Heritage Museum. And I would like to share a letter today that came to the museum from a lady in North Carolina. She found this letter in her grandfather's stuff after he passed away. And first of all, it's a mystery how he even had it, because it is addressed to Vernon Spicer, who was in the Merchant Marines in World War II. So this letter was written December 1943 to 1944, and the second letter that was in the envelope was written in January of 1945. So the person that wrote it was George Hofecker, who's from New Freedom. He lived up on 3rd Street, and he was writing it to Vernon Spicer, who is from Railroad. And these people have no idea why the grandpa, had this letter, because it wasn't addressed to him. He was in the Merchant Marines also in World War II, so that's the only connection that they can figure out. And her grandfather's name was Orrin Starnes, and he died in 1986. So if anybody can solve this mystery, this family really would like to know why her grandfather had this letter. So a little bit about George Hofecker, who wrote the letter. He died then in 1948 at the age of 49. And he wrote all these letters and sent them to people in the service in World War II, and also people that had moved away from New Freedom. And this particular one was written to Vernon Spicer, who died at the same age, 49, but in 1971. And he had a sister, Mrs. Raymond Ritz, who lived in New Freedom. So these names are familiar to you. Let me know what you know about these people. So anyway, this letter, what I'm going to do is just read some excerpts from these two letters, so you get a picture of what it was like in New Freedom during the World War II years. There's a lot of New Freedom information and a lot about the servicemen too. So I'll do my best to read these quickly. Here is hoping that these lines will find those chins on the up and up, though the going is tough. But keep it there, folks. It can't be long anymore. Had a terrible wreck between a train and a truckload of cattle on the crossing north of town at Rubberneck Road. Butcher Yost of Loganville with his mother was in the truck, and the railroad man had made repairs to the crossing right before that. The truck stuck on the crossing and could not move. Mr. Yost, looking north, saw an engine coming, and looking south, a train coming. It is said he pushed his mother out to safety and got out himself. And a live calf was found scarcely unharmed on the front of the engine, and a number were killed. And then he says, since my last writing you, we have had an election. Still Roosevelt. Truman Bros is now in France, was in Ireland. Eugene Schuhart was seriously wounded in the Philippine Islands. And what I'd like to point out to you here is we have Eugene's World War II uniform, and this was his hat from World War II. And I'll be mentioning his name several times from this letter. The New Freedom people just celebrated their 75th anniversary. Harry Guyman, who spent several years in the South Pacific, spent his furlough here and then reported to Camp Butler, North Carolina. Eli Bricker is still in the USA at Camp Leo, Virginia. Edwin Spicer is now en route to Europe. York County's casualty list until November 1st was 659. 166 killed, 354 wounded, 91 missing, and 46 prisoners. Milton Tyson is a patient at York Hospital. His leg was broken several places, crushed chest, and badly beat up face. He went to sleep driving his truck through Shrewsbury. In the wee hours of the morning, he fell asleep, must have pressed on the gas and shot for a tree. Had given up hope for a while, but will make it now. Was having a public sale the following day. Already had moved all of his household goods to Baltimore, where he worked for G. Martin Company. Some of you remember the Hex murder in Flymeyer's Hollow several years ago when a Raymeyer man was killed and several sent to the brig. Mr. Raymeyer's widow was run down by unknown trucker on trail near Shrewsbury and killed. And as you know, we're still talking about that Hex murder to this day in 2021. Captain Thomas of Crossroads, a chaplain with Patton's Third Army, has been reported wounded. He says, "Don't worry, fellows, we'll make it, we'll make it. We must when you guys are standing on the Rhine and possibly on opposite sides." Having a rally at American Insulator, my better half has gone out to play 500 at the Catholic Church tonight. Bob Adams is in the hospital in South Pacific with a smoking fever. Sergeant Claude Hedrick is spending short furlough home. Dick Richard, I can just see Louis Kleinfelter's eyes when he recognized you standing in the doorway of his tent somewhere in Italy. Clayt Kaiser now is a turret gunner and is expecting his squadron to move over to Europe. Just learned that Maynard Furman of Glenrock was killed. Have not heard anything from Emma Packer boy who went down in Germany. Gerald Frey just arrived home for just the first time in years he's been in the South Pacific. And Mr. Hoffacker, who calls himself Hoffy, he closes this letter by saying, "I'll be seeing you soon. When victory and peace are ours again, let's hope there'll never be any more axes to grind." And he says, "Cheerio." Next letter. Bill Renfrey is home from the Aleutian Islands. Looks swell, nice boy. Dick Strasberg was home from the hospital. He carries his arm in the sling. He has a feeling in fingers and can use them. Hopes to have bone grafted in upper arm and shoulder. Lucky boy, and he is ever so thankful. All of his gang was killed. He was the only one left. Art Keller's is home. His ship, Intrepid, was hit and 61 lost, but he was just lucky. C. Bradfield thinks he will go to Philippines. Ceiling Furniture Company gave their employees a swell Christmas gift of a bonus. They hope to open a cafeteria for men and other improvements. American Insulator gave all their people a $25 war bond. And here talking about Eugene Schuchart again. He wrote that he is improving and hopes to get back to the Pacific ere long. Shrapnel caught him in the leg. Eli Brickner is in California, thinks he's headed for the South Pacific. Vernon Spicer, who this letter is addressed to, is home after a 22,000-mile trip to Africa. He ran around the Horn and home. He got caught in a hurricane, and he said it was a great experience. Truman Brose transferred to another ship, and he's working over there. He last heard was in England. Clint Sheffer transferred to Pathfinder. Destroyer life just a little too tough for the old salt, I bet. Our Lions Club gave out a large number of gifts over the holidays to the aged, needy, etc. Hey, have you seen any cigarettes lately? Boy, are they scarce around New Freedom. Bill Grove has gone in for the pipe. Others are smoking anything that looks like a cigarette. Ty Young has shown up too. Had both arms broken aboard ship. He's doing fine. Lieutenant Mildred Klein. how much the parents of Grover Ellison appreciate her because she wrote the letter for him from the hospital. You'll never know how much his parents and wife appreciated it. I've known this boy for a long time. I surely hope he continues to improve in your hospital. Last Friday, we were informed of Joe Horn being killed in action in Belgium. He was a fine chap. The others, Bernard Spiegel, who is now reported missing for the second time. Joe Horn's other brother, Ed, is in Italy, and Cletus is still in the States in the Navy. The Kale boy has been given up for lost as nothing is reported about him. And Dick Messenheimer may lose a finger in his left hand. Loyal Thomas just advised that we can expect possible attacks of the German robot bombs along the eastern coast. Jack Trout at the New Freedom Bakery has permitted me, Hoffy, the use of his Mimeo machine and stentils. He just won't take a nickel. And this is the last line that he says in this second letter. And we'll finish with that. Long time of war, isn't it? Now, folks, I must close the lines and get them out to you. So keep those chins up, and anyway, don't forget to smile a while, and I'll be looking for you ere long. So until then, the best of luck, and cheerio from Hoffy.